Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all safe and well. My name is Lewis. This is the Saku-san channel, and on today's episode I'm going to do something slightly different from the usual. Now, if you've been around the channel for a while, you may know what this is going to be, and probably from the title you can pretty much guess what's going on. Now, to explain, at the end of the year I gather together albums which there's a loose criteria for it, but pretty much what it is, it's albums which I've bought this year, so they're not necessarily released this year, but albums that I've bought this year which resonated with me in a particular fashion which no other album I've purchased this year has done. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to listen to these albums that I'm going to show you today more than any other albums. It simply means that there's something about the album which just either pulled on my heartstrings or did something different enough compared to anything else that I purchased this year that I had to make a separate video about them. So hopefully you're going to enjoy these albums. I'm going to leave links down below. I really would suggest, if I can do the whole album in terms of links, I will do. If I can't, there's going to be at least one link for a track off the album, so it's going to give you a flavor. But I would really strongly suggest having a listen to the entire album. And that's going to help you to understand where I'm coming from, and perhaps you're going to like it for yourself. Now, if you happen to be one of those types of people who are way ahead of the curve and have either 1, 2 or 3 of the albums I'm going to be showing you, you already have it in your collection, then I have to salute you. And you got great taste. What can I say? Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. First of all, I'm going to be doing a little bit of housekeeping, just to bring up to speed on what's going on on this channel. Basically, what's the news coming out of the Saku-san channel. So yeah, let's get on with that before we press on with the albums. So first of all, I think it's only appropriate to highlight 3 people who have answered the call, and I'm going to call them princes amongst men. And those 3 people are Pastor Patty, Ilya Pisman, and Public Piper. Now, the reason for highlighting these 3 individuals is my call to arms in the last video, where I basically put it out there that, if you enjoy the channel, if you enjoyed the content, if there's something that, over, the past year or since the channel's inception, the first video, if there's something out there by way of the material I've been putting out there has, done something for you, inspired you to either find this, albums that I've highlighted or presented to you, whether you bought a physical copy, digital CD, whatever, and you want to say, thanks, Lewis, for, I wouldn't have heard of this album otherwise. Now, 3 individuals, and I've just mentioned them, they basically contributed via the YouTube channel, a monetary contribution to keep the, well, just to say thanks for what I've done, I guess, and to acknowledge that they've enjoyed the content and got something out of it. So yes, again, that's Pastor Patty, Ilya Pisman, and Public Piper. Thank you once again, good people, for supporting the channel in the way that you have done. Now, if you would like to do the same, no pressure, but if you'd like to do the same and help the channel going forward, there's two means I've figured out of doing it, and I will leave links to those ways in the description area. But just to go over it with you, you can either, if you're subscribed to the channel, and if you're not, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do happen to like any of the videos that I've produced over, you know, the last 3 years, drop a like in. It helps with the algorithm in terms of promoting that particular episode, or, you know, that video to other people. So there is, you know, it's YouTube's metric of basically telling how, you know, how much people enjoyed something and whether or not it's to be recommended to other people. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, and hopefully with this particular video that might just tip you over the edge. And please leave a like and share and so forth if you have enjoyed the content. So yes, there's, as I was saying, if you wish to, you know, make a contribution to the channel, or, you know, even in a sense of I want to buy you a beer, or I want to, you know, Lewis, I'd like to buy you a beer for what you've done, or you know, something like that, or, you know, a coffee, so to speak. There's two ways of doing it. So if you're subscribed, you hit the thanks icon via on the YouTube channel. So you'll see it basically. It's where the like button is and so forth. There's a thanks button there, and it basically walk you through it. Now, if you're not comfortable with doing that way, I'm going to put a PayPal link in the description as well. So if you prefer that means of doing it, if you know, if you're so motivated, then I'll leave a link down somewhere in the description area, that if you want to, you know, a small contribution to the upkeep of the channel, that's where it's going to be. So thank you to those princes amongst men. Once again, it's heartfelt. I didn't think nobody would respond, but you know what, maybe I should have greater faith in people. There you go. So again, there's another thing is, there's been a couple of milestones with the channel. And those would be, you know, the significant one would be over, you know, across the 1,000 subscriber mark, and we're fast approaching the 2,000 mark in terms of subscribers. I can't believe we're actually at this point. It's a little overwhelming. So thank you. Without your support, there wouldn't be a channel. Sure, I'd probably be buying, you know, I would be buying the same albums, but yeah, I'd just, you know, instead of like sharing my thoughts, they would just be simply internal thoughts about particular albums and that. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to, you know, and giving me the desire and so forth to make these videos and share some of my thoughts and some of, you know, the albums that I've purchased, you know, over a period of time. You know, I'm overwhelmed by your support, and I love doing this, so I want to continue to do it. So yeah, yeah, without you there is nothing anyway. So thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you. Is there anything else that I really want to talk about at this moment in terms of behind the scenes things? Nah, I think that will do. The t-shirt things is ongoing. Hopefully by the next video I'll actually be wearing one of the designs for the t-shirts I'm going to be rolling out. So it looks like early next year is going to be when it is. So hopefully in the next video you're going to see some Saku-san branded t-shirts. Hopefully you're going to like them. There's two primary designs, and hopefully you're going to like it. Yeah, I'm just doing the back end stuff, yeah, which always takes more time than one would assume. So yeah, getting that sorted, and I will let you know either in the next video and certainly on Instagram when they're, you know, ready to go, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's again, it's just a milestone, and you know, I'm really pleased that we got to this point with the channel, that I'm able to even consider these things. So yeah, let's get on with today's episode. And like I said, in this particular occasion, it's going to be 3 albums which did something different for me in terms of what I've purchased this year. It just did something for me. Either nearly brought me to tears or made me think about a particular genre. It did something for me, these 3 albums. And as I said, I'm going to leave links down below. I suggest with all 3, please give the entire album a listen to. I'm not saying that you're going to agree with me necessarily, but it will help you to understand where I'm coming from and why I picked these 3 albums. So first one, I just gotta like keep looking at my notes, so do forgive me. The first one is a 1976 release. It's by a French lady. Her name is Christine Noyes or Noyes, and yeah, it's French. I'm always gonna butcher it. So her name is spelled Kristen Nogues, and the album is entitled Marche Guise, maybe. Anyway, I'm just going to show it to you, and you'll be. I'll put it in the description as well, so you'll be able to find it for yourself if you're so interested. There you go, and it's got a lovely interior, gatefold. Let me show you some of that, and that is the reverse. There's also a booklet, and it's going to give you an idea of who the person is and what she does. There you go. That's a beautiful little brochure. It's going to get, it's a bit floppy, so I won't be able to. So there's quite a bit to read on her. So the reason for choosing this particular album today, it's a lovely bit of folk music. Now, I haven't done in-depth research on this particular artist, but reading between the lines and what I could gather, I'm sure I'm going to get some of this wrong. And if I do get some of this wrong, please, somebody in the comment section, bring me up to speed. And if I do get something wrong, it's, you know, there's no malice intended. Maybe my version of the story is slightly better than what actually happened. You never know. So the lady in question, Christine, harpist. Now, again, if you've been around the channel, you won't be so well. This is folk music. Let's start off with this is folk music. Now, anyone who's been around the channel for a while, for the last couple of years, will know I've got a soft spot for the harp, particularly jazz harp. So artists such as Dorothy Ashby and Alice Coltrane got a real soft spot for that instrumentation and what the creativity of those artists playing those instruments, what they're trying to achieve. So yeah, it's no surprise to me anyway that I gravitated towards this album, but slightly different because I usually think of, you know, I associate, well, not associate harp with jazz. Well, I tend to, in my taste in harp music or harps being played, it tends to be in the jazz context, and this is slightly different. So there you go. Let me just read some of my notes. Yeah, so with this particular album, the overwhelming kind of like what I took away from this album is this is, okay, I guess all albums, all music is art. It is. Now there's different standards of art, because you wouldn't say, you know, a 5-year-old's painting in nursery class is the same as a Van Gogh or, you know, a Cézanne, or, you know, it's not the same, but it is an artistic expression. This album, similar to the album that I chose last year, which was the Turkish folk music, the kind of shepherd, yeah, the Turkish shepherd folk music, which I picked last year. And I'll leave a link to last year's video. So if you didn't happen to see it, you'll have another opportunity to see it. It's kind of in that ballpark of there's a vista being painted, which I found unique in terms of my experience with music. I found it something unique, something I could latch onto. There was a thing of beauty. Now, there's a lot of subtleties going on here. There's a distinct idea. There is a concept going on, and I think it's just executed magnificently. So the lady in question, as far as I've been able to gather, child prodigy type thing in harp, went the classical route as you would expect, and it's in her early 20s. So she's French, Parisian, got to a stage and an age where she decided that in terms of her musical path, she was going to leave the capital as such, and she moved to Breton to not only, well, this is one of the things that somebody's got to kind of school me on, educate me on. I thought French was French kind of thing. No matter which region of France you're in, you all speak in the same language type thing. It's like German. It doesn't really matter. There's maybe dialect differences, but how I kind of been led to believe is that the Breton region, its version of French is slightly different. So whether it's a dialect thing or it's literally a language thing, I don't know. I assume it's a dialect thing. So she packed her bags, went to Breton, started hanging out there, and really immersed herself in the culture, and wanted to produce music based on the folk songs and melodies that she found in that region. And this album represents it. So let me have a look at some of my notes here. Astonishing vistas, the authenticity, astonishing vistas, the authenticity, the mischievousness, the playfulness, the romanticism, the pathos, despair, and personal tragedy. This album's got it all. It's literally got it all on here. And one of my overwhelming senses is think of this as like you go to a restaurant and you have your appetizers. Now, this album, the sad thing about it, it's all too brief. I think it's, if it's half an hour's worth of content, I'd be surprised kind of thing. Oh, certainly it feels that there's only half an hour's worth of content. I wanted more, just like going to a restaurant and you have the greatest, starter or appetizer that you could possibly imagine. This is what this album feels to me like. I wanted more of it, but perhaps, she done the right thing and just gave me, a glimpse into for what she was trying to achieve. She gave me a glimpse into perfection, and that's it. She didn't want to outstay her welcome. Now, it's a brave choice. It's a bold choice. Most people won't do that. So that's what endeared me to this album and the material on it even more. It's just, I'm just going to give you what's necessary. That's it. I'm not giving you any more. So there's a lot of bravery on here as well. Let me just read some of my other yes, in terms of her vocals on this album, again, it's this kind of haunting, but it's got playfulness. It's, like I said, it's got the pathos in there. I don't understand what she's saying. but I feel it. I genuinely feel what's going on there, and this is why it's on my list, my end of year roundup, because I felt something. It wasn't just a case of I respect what's going on in terms of composition and musicianship. There's something beyond that which is going on this album, and I just found it absolutely delightful. So I'm going to leave a link down below. It may be one track, it might be linked to the whole album. I really want you to hear the whole thing, and let me know in the comment section whether you agree with me or not. You might just say, you know what, Lewis, you're an absolute idiot. I hated it. I'm going to take that chance, but for me, I certainly adored this one. Like I said, it's all music is art, but there's different levels to art, and for me, this one just hit whatever metric I was using, this one hit it and did it really well. So that's the first album today. Christine Noiges, or however you pronounce it, and the album's entitled Marche Guise, maybe. That's my horrible French, so you're gonna have to forgive me. It's just the way it is. So that's the first one today, and again, that's a 1976 release. So give me a second, let me just put this back in, because if I damage this, I'm just going to be really annoyed. Right, that's the first one today. So a touch of folk music. Now the second album I'm going to show you today, again, for those who have been seen some of my Instagram updates, or whatever you call them, whatever the appropriate term for when you're uploading stuff on Instagram, you won't be surprised that I like Arabic music. I've been to that region a couple of times, whether it's the North African side or literally the Middle East. So I've traveled, I've done some traveling in that particular region, and I'm overwhelmed by the style of music. It is, again, it does something which resonates with me. There's something in my core which kind of just responds to it. So whenever I see some of the greatest albums re-released or whatever, I try to get my hands on it. Not everything, I don't like it all, but there's certain certain parts of the back catalogue that I really, really, really just get swept away by. The album I'm going to show you is one of them. So in this case, it is Abdel Halim Hafel with the legend. He's a Lebanese singer, and this is Marwood. Let me show you that. And let me show you the reverse of it. So it's all in Arabic script. So yeah, again, when I leave links down below, you'll be able to see and work out, as I said, the gentleman's name is Abdel Halim Hafel, and it's a 1971 release. Now, with this album, I was simply blown away. I was swept away with it. Now, again, if you got any kind of knowledge of the Middle Eastern region and its traditions, there's a phenomena which I think it's called the dervishes, where people get themselves into a euphoric state through like rhythms, musical rhythms, and they just get swept away with it, and they're able to do things that normally they wouldn't be able to do. I'm not saying they become superhuman or anything, but it's just like chanting, like if you're Buddhist or whatever, you're sometimes, through the rhythm, and the meter of the rhythm, it's kind of, you get swept. If you're that way inclined, it can just like take you away and take you to a different sort of way of thinking, and beyond the individual type thing. You just get swept away with it. Now, the reason for telling you this is kind of what this album does. It is absolutely astonishing. It's a live piece, played in front of an audience. Now, I don't know how many musicians were part of this. It sounds like there was like 35 of them minimum, and it sounds like there's thousands in the audience because you can hear them. This is a phenomenal piece of work. If I don't buy many live albums. I just don't, for whatever reason. It's most of the time I prefer the studio version to the live. This one is one of those rare exceptions where as soon as I heard it, a smile just like emanated on my face, because it's like, this is what I've been waiting for. This has to go into my collection. Yeah, I don't have a lot of Middle Eastern music, but what I do have, I think it's the best of the best kind of thing. I was simply blown away and pulled along with the audience, because you could just feel their enthusiasm. Let me just read some of my notes, because it prevent me from waffling more than I do. Some of my notes are, you can feel the energy in the room, and you certainly can. It's visceral. It's like I said, this is why it's on this list, because it does something that other albums which I've bought this year, again, which I love, adore, and will play on a more regular basis than this, but this is special. It really is. There is a frivolity, and I can't even read my own. I can't even read my own handwriting, so you're just gonna have to forgive me. Again, there's a playfulness around there. I kind of did in air quotes call to arms, but I don't think that's an appropriate term, to be quite honest. I've got no understanding of what's going on in terms of like what the actual lyrics are, but my sense of what's going on is, call to arms is wrong. It's more an appeal to community, I would say, and recognition and pride and tradition of the area and the people there. Family, your immediate family, the greater family, which is your community, the even larger family, which is your country, the even larger family, which is those who share your religious traditions. All those things are happening at the same time, it feels like. And when you hear the audience respond, it's like you can, they get swept along in the sense of like, yes, we do feel pride in, there's nothing wrong with that, I feel pride in what's, where I come from, the beauty of this area, the thousands of years of history and civilization. All those things are in there, and you get swept along with it, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's like I say, both this album and the French folk album, the first one I've shown you, the Christine Noigi. I know it's kind of this particular discipline, academic discipline's gone out of fashion, but if you was a sociologist, you kind of get what's going on. It's like it's a peek into a culture. That's what it is. It's giving you a flavor of a real, honest, genuine, authentic glimpse into a culture, and and it's giving you an invitation to try and understand where they're coming from. It's a thing of beauty. This is. It's again, I got swept away with it. Yeah, it's just so much fun. Now with this one, I probably won't, from what I remember seeing, versions of it on YouTube, I probably have to link the whole album, which isn't a bad thing, because I really, really want you to listen to the whole thing, and then let me know in the comment section what you think about it, because I am simply, it makes me really happy to have a passion for, a passion and an interest for music. This is what, for me, the hobby's all about. I like a breadth of music in my collection. Not everything, I respond to positively, quite the contrary. I don't like most things, which is a bit, put out there. But when I do find something which really, I feel that I would love to have been there at the time in which it was conceived and, recorded. It just blows me away. And again, this is art kind of thing, in a different way to the first album I've shown you. This is, again, it's a glimpse into culture, pride, nationalism with a small n. Nationalism in the sense of, I have pride in where, I have pride, I have respect, I have a love for my fellow man. This is what I believe this album is doing. And that's certainly, in terms of how I felt about it, that's what I took away from this album. It's magnificent, it really is. Now, I think there's, oh yeah. There you go, there's like an interior sleeve note. Quite a bit of it's in Arabic script, the other part's in English, so there's something for you to read. Yeah, absolutely magnificent. Again, listen to it, see what you think, see if you agree with me. If you agree or don't agree with me, please let me know in the comment section. I like to hear, what your thoughts are as well. It's in my hands already, and I'm not going to change my mind in terms of how I feel about it. Perhaps, I'm introducing you to it. You never knew of it yourself, and it might just, push you over. Well, it might, by hearing it now, if you've never seen it before, you might want a copy for yourself. And I would totally understand that. This is what these videos are for anyway. So there you go. The third and final album today is a jazz album. Surprise, surprise. Is a jazz album, and again, this one just took me by surprise. I didn't want to include it in my usual jazz videos because I thought it was special enough and different enough that I think putting it in with other jazz albums slightly would, do a slight disservice to it, because I think this is really special, this album. So this particular jazz album is a 1979 release. It's called Diom Futa. There you go. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. So the artists in question on this particular album are Sheikh Tiani Fall, Bobby Few, and Joe Macca. Now the reason, so this was, let's just see if I can figure out from my notes what was going on. So this is a kind of spiritual Afro jazz album, but it comes via the French underground jazz scene of the 70s. So it's got a unique sound to it, unique compositions, unique sound for sure on this one. Now, let me read some of my notes. Oh, so I've written, I love it for what it is. I respect it for its bravery. It deliberately wants to separate itself from the crowd. Now, I'm not going to take anything back from, those initial notes. But I don't want you to misunderstand either. Now, there's quite a bit of jazz which is kind of like, which I would classify as navel gazing. It's complicated or over conceptualized just for the sake of doing it. And I can take it or leave it, sort of thing. Most of the time I will leave that type of jazz because it just doesn't do anything for it. I kind of just feel like, yeah, it's just navel gazing in short term. Give me a second. This isn't. This is a concept, a jazz concept album, executed so well. But, compared to, the American, British, or even Europe, the greater European jazz scene, this is trying to do something different. And I think it delivers really well. Now, if you already have this jazz album in your collection, again, I'm going to have to salute you because, well, I kind of say as well, why didn't you tell me about it, kind of thing, So, let's just see what else I've got to say about it. Oh, the more I listened to this album, the more I appreciated what was going on. So, yeah, you might find the same, or you might be the type of person, if you never, you're hearing it for the first time, it might just immediately resonate with you. Now, it did kind of do that with me, but I had to listen to it 3, 4, 5 times to really get a greater sense, and for me to measure kind of where I would put it in the pantheon of jazz albums that I've got, because it's up there. But equally, okay, I can say there's jazz albums which are better than it, but this is doing something which is really, I find, unique and interesting. And again, for my jazz collection, I don't necessarily want what everybody else has got or what's familiar to jazz audiences. If you do have those albums, then, and you get a lot of enjoyment out of them, that's fantastic, But for me, in my collection and what I want, sometimes I deliberately gravitate towards something different, something which is less spoken about. And this is a absolutely terrific jazz album. I want you to listen to it, the whole thing. There's parts of it that you might not like, but I would say, but if you listen to the whole thing 3, 4 times, you'll get a better sense of what's going on, what the concept is, and why they're doing what they're doing. To, as best as one can understand anything without being part of it. So yeah, I found this album to be an absolute triumph. So again, I may pick one individual track from it, but I strongly suggest listening to the whole thing. Let's see if I've written anything. Yeah, okay, I'm glad I read that. So I normally, if you kind of been around the channel, that you probably will come to understand that I'm not really a free jazz person. For whatever reason, that subgenre of jazz I'm not really into. Respect it, kind of thing, but I'm not going to buy it. I don't really want it in my collection, and I don't listen to it, again and again type thing. This has slight elements of free jazz in there, but I found it palatable. I found it accessible, and maybe those kind of creative choices, I was the exact audience they were looking for, type of thing. And I'm so glad to have found this album. It really, yeah, sometimes I just had to pat myself on the shoulder and go, you know what, you did well there, Lewis. You really did. Lewis, you know, even I shocked myself sometimes with some of my musical, choices. And again, this is one of them. Overall, it's going to take, I got a certain subcategory of jazz in my collection, which is kind of filed away from other jazz, in terms of, this is something special. This is something, if somebody else was going through my jazz catalog and they'll go, my jazz collection, they'll go like, well, what's that? I've never seen that before. And I'd love to like take it off the shelf and say, I'm going to put this one on for you, see what you think, and hopefully it'll blow them away. And I hope that's the case with you. But like I said, if you've already got this already, then you should have told me about this. You know what I mean? I want to kick you in your shin for not telling me about this album. That's how much I really did love this one. So that's the final album today. All three, depending on what territory you're in, you will be able to find them. You will be able to find them. How much you're going to pay for them is something completely different, and you'll have to decide whether or not that was worth it for you. For me, definitely. So that's the third album. That's the final one. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Of course, it's going to be seasonal greeting, because it's the end of year kind of video type thing. So thank you for joining me this year. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the support that you've given me in terms of in the comment section, making your views known to me, watching the videos, subscribing to the channel. On the channel's behalf and me individually, I'd like to thank you so much for just hanging out with me. I really do. I just get a warm feeling inside. I'm not an overly sentimental person, but I enjoy doing these videos. I really do enjoy them, and it makes it all kind of so satisfying when you out there are watching it. So if you do have friends, family, colleagues who maybe on that kind of cusp of like enjoying jazz and wanting to listen to something different, please introduce my channel to them. The more the merrier type thing. I'd love to build up a community of of people who enjoy my work, enjoy the albums that I'm showing them. I'd like more people out there to have confidence in their own collection and the direction in which they want their collection to go in. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything. I'm not here to say you shouldn't have that or whatever. Do whatever you want. You've earned your money. You buy what you want. I'm just trying to give you an alternative sense of what materials out there. Hopefully you've enjoyed my content up until now. I've certainly enjoyed presenting these videos to you. So until the next episode, which we're gonna I've already got jazz albums lined up for you guys. Until the next episode, please look after yourselves over this festive season. Enjoy yourself. Of course, eat and drink too much, but most of all, play some really get that music on, what I mean, and share it with other people. So until the next episode, please, if you like the channel and this particular episode, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed the content. Share, and of course comment down below if you so choose. And again, if you want to make a donation, I'll leave links for you to do it via PayPal, or you can, if you're subscribed, you can hit the thanks button. Either way, all donations are gratefully received. And let me just put it that way. And thank you to those 3 princes amongst men who made a difference to the channel. Make no mistake, they made a difference. So until the next episode, please look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy the festive season. Take care. Bye bye.